Okay, let's talk about memory storage and consolidation. And before we dive into some specific techniques, let's talk about the neuroscience. So your memories are not stored in a single location, and they're distributed across various brain regions, and your hippocampus plays a really crucial role in the early stages of memory formation. The consolidation process allows memories to be gradually transferred from the hippocampus to the neocortex, and that's where they become more stable and more long-lasting. So if you've ever wondered how your brain transforms fleeting experience into lasting memories, that's what we're going to go through now. And I want you to just reflect on a recent memory that you've formed and start to think, well, how do you think that process has happened? How do you think it's been consolidated? What's actually happened there? I'll give you a few seconds to sort of think about that. What's a recent memory that you've got, and what do you think's happened in the consolidation? Well, one of the most potent catalysts for memory consolidation is sleep, and not just sleep, but quality sleep. During sleep, your brain actively replays and strengthens recently acquired memories, and it integrates them into the existing knowledge network that you've already got. So we know that slow wave sleep and rapid eye movement sleep, REM sleep, are critical for different aspects of memory consolidation, and that REM sleep is like the last phase of the sleep cycle. So we need to get more of those cycles happening, and this is why it's more important to get good quality sleep, because if we cut off that end bit, we're missing out on some of this memory consolidation. So how well do you prioritize and protect your sleep? Are you aware of the potential impact on memory consolidation? And the other thing that happens when we're consolidating memory is we're strengthening and writing new neural pathways as well. So reflect on your current sleep habits and think about ways that you can improve sleep quality for optimal memory storage as well. Another thing is spacing and distributed practice. So spacing, which is the distribution of learning sessions over time, plays a vital role in memory storage. So spaced repetition is another way to look at it as well. Rather than cramming information into a single session, spacing out practice sessions allows for better consolidation and better long-term retention. We're not trying to jam it all there in there at once. And this phenomenon, which is known as the spacing effect, it capitalizes on your brain's ability to strengthen memories through repeated exposure over time. It's what we do here. We say replace intensity with consistency. We want this spaced repetition so that we're consistently hitting those marks, and we're doing low reps, to build up really, really tight muscle. So do you tend to engage in massed practice or spaced practice? Do you tend to try and jam everything all at once, or do you allow yourself to space things out when you're acquiring this new knowledge? So take a moment to reflect on your learning habits and consider how incorporating spaced practice or spaced repetition could enhance your memory storage and retention as well. Now, emotions have a significant impact on our memory as well. Emotionally charged events tend to be remembered more vividly and with greater detail. And the reason is your amygdala, which is a key brain structure involved in processing those emotions, it interacts with the hippocampus and the neocortex. And when these guys team up, they have a great time, right? And this facilitates the consolidation of emotionally significant memories, because what it's doing is it's making meaningful associations for us, and that's making memory easier to consolidate and to retrieve. So can you recall a particularly emotional experience that's just etched vividly into your memory? What is it for you? What's that thing that was such an emotional experience in your life that you can remember every single detail of it? Reflect on the emotional aspects of that event, and think about how did those emotions influence your memory storage. Now, just for a little bit of fun, also have to think of how those emotional aspects of that event might distort your reconstruction of that past experience as well. Were you in a good mood, in which case maybe it looks better than it was? Were you in a bit of a grumpy mood, in which case was it as bad as what you thought at the time. So have a think about how those emotional aspects not only influenced your memory storage, but also your memory reconstruction. Now let's talk about visualization and mental imagery as well. So both of these things are great to enhance memory storage. And when we visualize information or when we create mental images, I get so excited. Like, this stuff is just so cool. I know I keep saying that, but this stuff is so cool how the brain works. When we do this, we engage a whole range of different sensory modalities. And when we engage a whole bunch of different sensory modalities, this strengthens our memory encoding and our retrieval. And this is really effective, especially when we combine it with other things like meaningful associations or storytelling as well. It's why storytelling's so great. It allows us to really paint that mental picture, really visualize what we're talking about. And when we do that, it plays back into that thing of making these meaningful associations. So how do you employ visualization or mental imagery techniques to enhance your memory? And I want you, again, to reflect on a recent memory and consider how you could incorporate visualization to have better storage and better retrieval as well. So think about maybe a memory that you can't, or something that you can't remember really as well as you would like to of. What can you do to incorporate these visualization aspects to help you remember it better, help you store it and retrieve it better? And one thing that you can do is you can look at contextual encoding and retrieval cues. Memory is context dependent, right? So what that means is the context in which we learn and encode information plays a crucial role in memory storage and retrieval. And when we create meaningful connections between the learning context and the target information, we can improve memory recall. Have you ever run into somebody from work or a social group in a completely different setting and you just don't recognize them? It takes you that minute to go, oh, that's Barry, that's Sally. And what happens is you've got that brief second where your brain goes, this isn't the right context. That person's got nothing to do with this context at all. They must not be relevant at all. And so then it takes us that little second just to switch into that context where we remember them from and where we've learnt who they are and where we usually interact with who they are. And so when we, again, create these meaningful, now this is very different to when we develop a personal relationship with that person and we start to get to know them and we start to form a meaningful connection, because when we do that, guess what? It becomes easier to recall that information and that person, those experiences in other contexts as well. So you can go both ways with this. You can either try and create more meaningful connections with the things in one context so they transfer over to other contexts, or you can also just recognize the usefulness and leverage these retrieval cues like environmental cues or mental associations to help you trigger the recall of stored memories. There's things for me like I know if I'm going into the lab, there's information that I'm going to have to access, which is really only specific for that context. So I don't need to know that stuff outside of the lab. So I'm going to use some environmental cues there to help trigger the things that I know. And these might be safety things. These might be disposal of different chemical things. It might even just be, where are we putting the right beakers back on the shelf in the right drying racks? Like these things there. So I can put different retrieval cues around the place to make me go, oh, that's right, I need to know this. And so it doesn't need to be this big drama and this big game. It's just, well, that's really it with all of these things. It's just the way that you should do things to make it easier for yourself. So if you've experienced that phenomenon of forgetting something in one context, but then you easily remember it when you return to the original context, have a think of the role of that context and what you could be doing to bring some of those retrieval cues out of it and into your own memory experiences as well. And when we understand the underlying neuroscience and we can actually implement some effective techniques, we're starting to get that memory cranking. We're starting to unlock the potential of that memory as well. So remember to reflect on the questions that we pose throughout these lessons, explore them as well. Think about your sleep. Think about your spaced repetition and your distributed practice. Think about the emotional significance of information, and think about how you're using contextual encoding and visualization as well. That's all for now. Bye now.